Death Spiral, the only yandere podcast that loves senpai so much and will never, ever leave senpai alone again. We're back, and we love you, listeners.
You're our one true destiny.
You're the only reason I haven't killed myself.
We're tied together by the red string of fate.
Yes, and if you ever stop listening, I will kill you.
I've got a knife named after each of you, just waiting.
You don't see, I am licking the knife. I'm doing that thing where you lick the knife to be threatening, I guess. Is that what it's supposed to be? Is that supposed to be like a threat?
Yeah, and then, you sell the knives on eBay, real anime podcast spit knife.
Spit knife. Anime girl spit knife.
Yeah. You can get those in vending machines in Tokyo.
Why do they do that? I always feel like that would just cut your tongue and you would look like a fucking idiot.
It's to show how, it's performative, right? Come on. It's to show how much you don't care about your tongue getting cut up by licking the knife. You're just that crazy.
I used to kind of get it when, they would cut the guy, right? And then there would be blood on the knife, and they would show how crazy they are by licking the blood off the knife, right? That makes sense to me. It's like, you're a crazy guy.
The first thing that comes to my mind is Zod licking gore off of his sword in Berserk.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty iconic one.
Well, he's he's a big minotaur, right? So it kind of makes sense.
He's a big monster man with muscles and sharp teeth and weird little squinty eyes.
Yeah.
So I think it's, pretty thematically appropriate that he would be doing weird stuff like licking gore off of a big sword, right?
Yeah. Or a murder junkie, one of these guys, almost every anime has one of those guys who's horny for murder, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Classic.
Let's call them a Hisoka type, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they will they cut the guy and then there's blood on the knife and they're so excited they're lick the blood because it's all, I guess, erotic in some way.
Well, they could also do the thing where they cut themselves with the knife and then lick the blood off to show again how crazy and not afraid of danger, personal injury they are.
I'm not afraid of cutting myself.
This guy'll fuck himself up in the process of fucking me up even harder. It makes sense. He would do something like that.
Sure.
I'm thinking more of do you remember the possessed samurai sword chick from Durabara?
Yes, yeah.
It's a bit awkward when she licks the samurai sword, right? It gives it a bit of a weirder connotation, I think.
Why is it weirder for her to do it?
I don't know.
Because she's a high school girl?
Yeah. Something about that and the big, long, throbbing blade. It just gives me the ick.
Yes. It is weird. Yes, there's weird stuff going on there. I think it's goofy when it's just a knife. There's no blood or anything. They haven't cut anybody or whatever. It's just a plain knife, and they start licking on it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think that it's not intimidating. It looks goofy.
Well, you see, I do lick knives. I do that personally, but usually when I'm, cooking stuff. I do not work in a kitchen. Don't fucking at me, people. I'm not serving you my food from my lick knife, from my spit knife.
This is my personal spit knife. I eat
this. I'm consuming myself back, okay?
I like to imagine that you are doing that in the anime style, all weird and creepy. You're making eye contact with somebody.
Yeah, I'm looking at my wife going, "Oh my wa mo shindaru."
Yeah. Oh no, he's gone all murder horny again because of the cooking.
No, I don't do that. I do the kakyoin thing with the cherry though.
Yeah, back in high school, that was a way to prove you were a really good kisser.
Mm-hmm.
Is you'd go.
You could tie the stem into a knot in his mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, just by going. For an anime series that obviously has one of the highest rates of iconic imagery and scenes, that's up there, man. I think about that a lot, more than almost any other anime.
Imposter kakyoin, just tongue fucking that cherry.
Oh my god. Yes. That, honestly, that and Jotaro when he's playing the poker game, and at the end the other guy dies and he's just like, yeah, I don't really even know how to play poker, I was just bluffing. That is so cool. That is the coolest thing any anime character has ever done.
I feel like Araki doesn't get credit enough for being like a genuinely funny dude. He's
so funny.
He's got jokes. God. He's a funny guy.
He's got the jokes. Even when he's not telling jokes, even when he's just doing his thing, like when the fucking orangutan who pilots the submarine shows up. What is that?
And likes the orangutan who specifically likes sexy ladies and strippers. All right, we're just talking about JoJo again.
My favorite yandere, since we're on it, is, of course, this is a bit of a normie opinion, but I've said before I'm a pretty big fan of Mirai Nikki, Future Diary.
Yeah.
The chick from that, who is a pretty standard pick, maybe even like a textbook definition yandere. She is definitely my favorite.
No, I think the best yandere, I'm going to have to go a little bit more classic with it. I think Ryoko from Tenchi Muyo. That's the best yandere.
Is she yandere? Is she trying to kill Tenchi?
She is trying to love him and kill him. Yeah. Because if you remember, she hates him because he's the ancestor of the alien warrior prince who imprisoned her in that cave for thousands of years. She's pretty pissed off about that. The first episode of Tenchi is specifically centered around, the first two episodes are centered around him discovering her in the cave, awakening her, and then she chases him around his school shooting lasers at him. And then at the end, she's like, actually, I don't think I do want to kill you just yet. I think I kind of want to kiss you for a bit first.
I'm so in love with you, I'm going to kill all the girls who are trying to get with you.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums up Ryoko's character, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as big a fan as Tenchi as you are, so I kind of have to take your word for it.
She's a little bit tsundere, a little bit yandere, a little bit rock and roll. Thank you.
Do you remember, did you watch Carol and Tuesday, the actual sequel to Cowboy Bebop?
No, I haven't yet, but I've heard about it. You've talked about it a couple times.
You like girl band shows and Cowboy Bebop, and you haven't watched Carol and Tuesday?
Well, the phrase "don't meet your heroes."
Oh man,
my favorite work of Shinichiro Watanabe. He didn't even work on at all, and it's the parody of him that was in Excel Saga and Puni Puni Poemi.
Oh man, have you gone back and watched Poemi in
yes,
the last 10 years?
In the last 10 years, yeah, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I went back and watched both episodes, and
oh boy,
it holds up different. To people who haven't seen it, Puni Puni Poemi is a 2-episode OVA parody of, I want to say, just kind of anime in general, specifically trashy, horny, like space sci-fi anime.
Who wouldn't know Puni Puni Poemi? It's legendary.
No, dude, you got to account for all of these Gen Z kids. They don't know what they're talking about. They all jumped into Pokemon in Black and White too. Come on.
They don't know their history.
Yeah.
Excel Saga, Puni Puni Poemi are the Mad Magazine of all of anime, basically, of the 90s.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah.
That's essentially what it is.
Excel is basically the, what's the Mad, Norman...
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus.
I don't know.
He would basically fit right in these shows.
I do, before we move on here, I do need to mention the one I totally forgot. The one I was trying to think of with JoJo is, of course, Yukako from Josuke's arc, who falls in love with the little shorty and tries to kill him with her hair.
Oh,
you remember
yes.
Her?
Yeah. Now, that is a certified receipts given yandere. For sure.
Yes, absolutely fucking textbook yandere.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of her the whole time, and I remembered. Okay, well, people, we are unfortunately still deep in the anime drought.
Whew.
We have not been watching anything. I keeping up with Ishura, but that's pretty much it. There's not really anything else going on.
I have been keeping up with Okitsura. I do want to admit to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're sticking with that one, huh?
It's as far as the rom-com applications go, it's pretty mid, possibly even to a bad side of the scale. But as a travel brochure for Okinawa, oh boy, am I sold.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all in. It's like a little National Geographic episode. Each episode, you learn something new about Okinawa, the people that live there, the Ainu culture. Not Ainu, that's up north. The Ryukyu culture.
Yeah? Like what?
They go into a lot of detail about the specific local festivals and different folk dances that are kind of integral to a lot of these celebrations. Surely you've seen pictures of Japanese architecture with the two lion dogs out front of any home or gate, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
This guy.
No, definitely.
He doesn't even pay
The
attention.
dog. Yeah, the dogs.
He doesn't even pay attention to the culture he's relentlessly consuming without giving anything back.
Yeah, no, the Hokkaido dogs. Yeah, totally.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I know the dog. The Hokkaido dog. Yes, of course I know the Hokkaido dogs. Yes.
No. Oh, okay. You got to go watch some episodes of Akitsura so that you learn some proper history.
Please, no, I don't want to. Please don't make me do that.
I'm going to make you do it. You've disgraced yourself.
I already know everything I want to know about Hokkaido. It's cold there or whatever.
It's all right. Fine. Yes, other than that, there's been absolutely nothing keeping my attention.
It's a drought. We are in a drought. Now, as we talked about even last episode, we always have the ability to retreat back into manga, the one place that will never disappoint you. Because there's about 50 million manga, and they cover every single thing you could possibly imagine. So, you don't like one? Just pick up another one. It's like toilet paper. You can just rip one off the roll.
Just hit the random button. It'll take you to something eventually.
And even if it's trash, it's probably entertaining trash.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that is kind of the fundamental backbone of this industry. It's mostly entertaining trash. I would say the stuff that crosses over the Venn diagram of entertaining and substantive, barely a sliver wide. It's mostly just really pretty looking slop. And sometimes it's not even pretty looking.
Yeah, sometimes it's not so great, but much like a Michael Crichton novel, you can't look away.
Burn Michael Crichton, I guess.
Oh, come on. You ever read one of those?
I mean, I read what was it? Timeline? Is that
Timeline?
What it was? Yeah, Timeline.
Yes, Timeline. Wow. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever read. That is such a stupid story, but compelling.
Well, it definitely compelled 11-year-old me, so he at least has that demographic in the bag.
Yeah. I gotta say, I mean, I'm looking over my catalog right now, and really, a lot of the stuff I'm reading really falls directly into that category.
I mean, same.
But you know what? I do want to say, despite all of that, I did read something that was legitimately, truly great.
Oh.
I know. I found one.
Folks, this is unprecedented. I'm totally flustered right now. You're saying that you actually found something good for once.
Not just good, very, very good.
very, very good.
Very,
Rough.
very good. I'm talking about something like on To You, My Immortal level. Like up there.
Well, out with it, man. How can you keep me sitting here in anticipation?
Okay. Let me tell you about Kaijin Fugeki. Kaijin Fugeki? Kaijin Fugeki.
Kaijin Fugeki.
Kaijin Fugeki. Kindled Spirits.
Okay, you mentioned this one to me yesterday.
This is by, and I really don't understand this. The English translation of the name is "Oh Great" with an exclamation point between "Oh" and "Great" instead of a space. So it's like, "Oh, great."
Maybe it's more of like a sarcastic, like, "Oh, great."
Well, I was thinking like maybe that doesn't translate into Japanese, but like, "Oh, great" is a very dismissive and sarcastic phrase in English. It's like, "Oh, great." You're rolling your eyes when you say it.
Oh, great.
Oh, good, oh, goodetto.
Oh, great too.
Oh, goodetto? Something like that?
Is it old great? Is it oh great in English? That's the title? That's the Japanese title?
That's how his name has been translated, which is very weird. I don't.
Oh, this is a character's name.
No, this is the mangaka. That's what they call themselves.
Oh,
good
okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Ito. Oh, good ito. Oh, good ito. Maybe. Anyway, it's irrelevant. This is the guy who did some really great manga, like the original Tenjo Tenge manga. This is this guy. He did Air Gear.
Tenjo Tenge. I don't recognize that one.
Oh, you know, Heaven and Earth.
Oh, okay.
In French, it is Enfer et Paradis. You know,
this is the one that I always get mixed up with Battle Vixens.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering. Isn't Battle Vixens like fantasy?
No. Battle Vixens is a horny fight manga retelling of Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Oh, yes.
I'm not making that up. That is the plot. It's like the characters, they all find these special Gintama gems that have the spirits of like ancient Chinese generals in them, and that makes them good at kung fu.
Cool.
And so they have to kung fu at each other until their clothes fall off.
That's sick as hell. I do want to also say, Oh Goretu also participate in something called the Cigarette Anthology that I am very interested in reading.
I wonder what that could be about. If it's just about smoking the manga. Oh wait, I'm already reading that one.
It's an anthology about people smoking. There's a lot of names on here. Asano Inio, Fumiko, Harukara Misaki, Kira Takahashi. There's a lot of people on here. Uchimizu Toru. This is like a lot. These are big names.
The 90s didn't happen the same in Japan. They didn't really get the anti-smoking ads that we grew up with.
It's true. I mean, they are still puffing over there. Now we don't really see it here.
I was very taken aback, I guess, just as an American walking into a restaurant in Osaka, and they like brought us to a seat upstairs where there were no ventilation, no windows, and everybody was smoking.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like they literally drew back the curtain and a billow of LA like smog, cuttable smog, like came out of the restaurant room. And my friend that I was like, this is how you know it's a good restaurant.
That's the good stuff.
Because they don't give a shit about anything other than making the food.
Yeah, it's funny though, because like everyone in there can't actually taste the food. Like none of them are getting any flavor through their fucking like unfiltered cigarettes.
I was always surprised that spicy food doesn't show up more in Japanese snacks. Like there's some here and there, but compared to any good true-blooded American gas station, they don't got the spice over there. And you think with all the smoking, they'd want like something that could break through the tar crust on their tongues.
I know, right? Wouldn't you want to be throwing some Cholula in your hot Cheetos over there? like blasting down a Lucky Strike.
Oh man, they would lose their mind if they figured out about putting Tapatio on a slice of pizza. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man, that would change Japanese culture forever.
Okay, Kindled Souls.
We've drifted off track. Kindled Souls. Kindled Spirits, excuse me.
Yeah,
Kaijin Fugeki by Ogareto.
I translated different, okay?
I read this because this was recommended by Masamune Shido, which at first made me kind of nervous because obviously that means either it's truly beautiful and interesting or really uncomfortably horny. And thank God it turned out to be the former and not the latter. It is, in fact, a truly beautifully drawn manga that hits you with so many bizarre elements within like the first 15 pages that it is like sensory overload.
Well, knock them out with shock and awe, right?
Yes.
If you have like a really strong opening chapter, I think readers are willing to forgive a lot in like the 90 to 200 chapters that come after it.
This is exactly what leads to us our almost constant complaint of like manga betraying their own premise, right? Is that like you read that opening chapter and you're like, this is the shit I'm looking for, that has not happened yet. I've read a fair amount so far. There's only 30 chapters out right now, but I've made it a pretty good dent, and I am still enjoying the hell out of it. Even if the story was dumb, like this art is, unmissable. But this is the kind of thing where it bombards you with bizarre elements constantly, and it does the thing that I truly appreciate, which is never try to explain them or insert them into some kind of like lore framework, I really do not like that. And this comic refrains from that consistently, which I really, really appreciate.
Well, it's I associate that kind of philosophy with, we talked about it a couple episodes ago, like Lynchian kind of image intention, like transference. You put on the page the feeling you want to evoke, not necessarily an image that has to make perfect logical sense, right?
Sure. I don't need to know your magic system, man. I'm not interested at all. And this does have something sort of like that, and I appreciate it. This might be because I am less familiar with a lot of kind of traditional Japanese culture, except for the Hokkaido dogs, obviously. I know everything about that.
Yep.
But part of the story is that after ecological collapse, because we're all dumbasses and we allowed nature to wither away and die.
It's so weird how that is a starting off point for so much anime and manga.
Yeah, strange. It's almost like it's some kind of cultural anxiety working its way into our art. This is post that, though. It's already happened, and now humanity is sort of just dealing with the consequences. But it's not apocalyptic. It's not that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not dealing in a desert world where roaming bandits kill people and heroes have to rise up and protect the everyman. This is more of a world that has picked up the pieces and is trying to move on, even though things will never be the same again because there is like rolling ecological disasters. But they have become contained by something in the manga they call psychomagnetics, which is apparently an extension of like quantum physics in some way. But it incorporates a lot of traditional Japanese rituals, a lot of traditional dances and like representative idols and figures that evoke gods, right? That kind of thing, kamui.
Sure.
And it incorporates these things into, well, I guess a magic system, but I don't think the manga would put it that way. What I like about that is it is a communal event in the manga. When things happen, it's sort of, it's very strange and it has an odd structure, but it is still a manga about people coming together to fight crazy things. But when they fight them, because it's based on like these, Japanese traditional rituals, it is a communal event. So people come together to do like traditional dances and stuff, and that's how they evoke power.
I mean, I like that. I think that's a really fun departure from the
Punchy Boy,
Harry Potter-esque, like Western fantasy themed kind of magic systems that all of these fucking isekai and semi isekai all rely on. It's just Dragon Quest.
Endless Dragon Quest.
It's good that they're not ripping off Dragon Quest again.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And part of this, like, and this makes sense. This is sort of a running theme through a lot of these like post-ecological collapse kind of fantasy stories where traditional technology has been abandoned and it's been rebuilt in a sort of naturalist way. That's a big part of this manga as well. That's sort of the psychomagnetics angle where a lot of technology has kind of advanced, but through a weird traditionalist lens. It is not steampunk. I need to make that very clear. Not in a steampunk way. There's no steampunk in this manga.
Now, are you sure there's no like steam vents or perhaps some kind of steam core powered robot?
There is no steampunk, no steam vents, no coal powered robots, none of that shit. I do not want to get it twisted. That is not what's happening here.
Okay, all right.
It is just pure, interesting strangeness.
This character has two heads.
There is a girl who shows up very early on in the story, and she has two heads. And that's not weird. That's just a thing.
That's not weird for anybody. That's
not weird for anybody.
Everyone's on board with the two-headed girl.
Yeah, and she's chill. She's pretty chill.
Okay.
Well, they're pretty chill. Excuse me. They are ego split, even though they share a body.
Okay.
They are two people.
They have separate personalities.
Yes, they've got separate names, separate personalities. They are treated as two different people inhabiting the same body, and they're very cool and cute. And I like them quite a lot. And they also have a device that they like fly around with, this thing that attaches to their heads. It just kind of envelops their heads and pulls them up along the air. It's very strange. It's really weird. There's a lot of weird shit going on here, but very good weird. I cannot recommend this manga enough. I fell in love immediately. Kaijin Fugeki Kindled Spirits. I am begging you. I need this to continue. Please, for God's sake, support this manga. I need more of this shit.
I mean, just by saying that, you're putting the bad energy out there.
I know. I feel
it's
like
on the chopping block right now.
I really feel like I'm jinxing it. Anyway, that is. I don't even want to like get into any kind of story elements or anything because like you don't need that. You will go into it and you will know immediately that it's unique and special in a way that almost all manga is not.
Okay. Can I tell you about something that I discovered that had a real strong start and then ended up turning into the opposite of everything you just described about Kaijin Fugeki?
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. More of a traditional manga. Yes, please tell me.
Okay. I, once again, in my unquenchable thirst for the worst kinds of rom-com manga, found a fun little series called I'm Not Meat.
Oh, no.
Well, okay, so we've talked a lot about how there's this running thread in anime and manga where, especially romance and rom-com stuff, where you have a male protagonist who is absolutely terrified, like anxiety level phobia of just even talking with women in the most basic way at all, right?
Yes, absolutely.
This is a manga that takes that character trait to not only the logical extreme, but going beyond that. This is about a dude who is so afraid of women, specifically, like very specifically, women that are attracted to him, like women that are flirting with him. When a woman flirts with him, it makes him so incredibly afraid that he starts imagining them as like bloodthirsty wild animals. And I mean that in a literal sense.
He has like a genuine mental illness.
Yes. Yeah, he has like full on, he goes catatonic and has like these full on hallucinations where he begins imagining himself like being hunted and killed by all these different like horrible predators.
What a terrible, horrible existence this man is living.
Well, here's the kicker though. It happens all the time because, wouldn't you guessed it, he's a stone cold hottie.
Oh,
right?
he's banging?
Yeah, he's mega hot. He's a bad bitch.
God damn. He's babe through and through?
Yeah.
A total himbo?
100%.
Wow.
Number one himbo.
This is truly unfortunate.
You want to throw a little cherry on top of that? You want to guess what his job is? Because thankfully, these are all adults, people. I want to say that very clearly and up front. Everybody in here is, in fact, an adult, so that's a big +1 for the series.
That is refreshing for sure.
Yeah.
Is he like a host at a host club?
No.
That would kill him.
No, he is a copywriter at an ad agency.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Specifically, get this, he is on a team at this ad agency that at the beginning of the manga, which was very short-lived, it is ended now. It was 15 chapters total. Did not have a long life. And he's working at an ad agency on a team specifically tasked with coming up with the new award-winning commercial for a dating app that this ad agency wants to present at Cannes because they won the award last year for a dating app commercial.
What's Cannes?
Cannes Film Festival.
You mean Cannes?
Cannes. No, Cannes. It has an S at the end.
Cannes?
There's multiple ones.
Cannes? Oh man, when did they start putting commercials in the running? That's news to me.
Actually, I had to look that up, and Cannes does in fact have a best advertising and commercial category.
Oh man, everything is just really going downhill. Oh boy.
Oh, come on. Like these awards mean anything to begin with.
You know what I love about Cannes was it was one of the only film festivals left where people would just openly boo the movies. I love that.
Yeah, but until it came out on the internet and people were like, oh, it's tradition to boo the movies at Cannes. It doesn't mean anything. And now guess what? It doesn't mean anything.
Well, you should boo movies. I mean, make your opinion known.
I boo movies all the time. That's why they keep kicking me out.
You should definitely boo commercials.
Oh,
like 100%.
Don't even get me started. I be booing the ads.
Booing hard.
Yeah.
And so this guy is making ads for Tinder, basically?
Yes, he's on a team tasked with the objective of making an award-winning Tinder commercial.
Ugh, gross.
To follow up their award-winning Tinder commercial from last year.
Can I just, as a very quick side note, can I just tell you one of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life?
Yes.
So I've unfortunately had the displeasure of using Tinder, and they do have a feature now where if you are messaging someone on the horrible dating app, they have a quote-unquote AI sidekick that will write messages for you.
Oh, no.
This is one of the darkest things I have ever encountered in my entire life.
We strive closer and closer every day to fucking Lucy Lubot from Futurama.
Exactly. This is truly awful.
Well, isn't this what that Joaquin Phoenix movie was about? Her? With Scarlett Johansson.
That's about dating a robot. This is about essentially having a robot catfish a date for you. I hate the world, maybe.
I mean, these dating app companies, they're the real predators, am I right?
They're pretty bad. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So I don't know. And actually, let me tell you the grossest thing about this manga.
Oh, great.
So this is a medical procedure, he keeps calling it. He wants to remind the audience over and over again that his prescribed therapeutic action for how he should handle these like debilitating hallucinations when encountering women, specifically women who are flirting with him, is that he has to carry around a little anime figurine doll that, for some reason that they never explain, and I want to say this, they do not explain it in the 15 chapters, why kissing the doll seems to help him manage these hallucinations and bring him back to reality.
Oh, like that Ryan Gosling movie.
Yeah.
Lars and the Real Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he does not project feelings onto the doll at all. He does not talk to the doll. He does not like refer to it as his girlfriend or anything.
Okay.
It's literally like something that he keeps in his bag with him. And when he starts getting overwhelmed by these throngs of flirtatious women, he takes it out. He excuses himself. He doesn't do it publicly. Come on. He excuses himself to the bathroom and has to like kiss it and give it head pats.
Ugh.
And then he goes back and he's like, all right, I can deal with this now.
You know, if he did do it publicly, that might actually solve the problem.
Yeah, it would probably make him a lot less attractive to all these women.
Yeah, no kidding. The thirsty horde dissipates immediately.
And so the three main narrative arcs, I don't know, I'm not going to call them arcs. They were 2 chapters long at most. But the narrative flow of this series in its short-lived life was he works at this ad agency that is just filled with horny women who want to pounce on him at any given moment. He'll get into some situation where he's one-on-one with them and they'll try and aggressively come on to him, and he starts imagining them as some kind of, say, crocodile or hyena, or in one case, an orca, a killer whale, if you will.
Oh, my favorite animal.
And then he kind of like exposits on the audience all of these like trivia facts about the animal life, where he like talks about their hunting patterns and their biology, and explains how basically he is metaphorizing these biology lessons into what is happening to him in the moment. You know, like say he's talking to a woman that he's anthropomorphizing as a crocodile, or what's the zoopomorphizing? Is that a word?
He's furryizing.
Yeah. He is projecting this animal persona onto this lady, and he's seeing her as a crocodile. And like he's like, all right, I need to get out of here. And he goes to leave, and she grabs him by the sleeve. And then in his mind, he's like, oh my God, this is the crocodile's famous death roll.
Cool.
It's trying to drag me down with it.
So what you're telling me is this is essentially the story of an autistic man dealing with sensory, like perception sensory overload issues.
Yeah, that's a pretty clinical way of putting it. I wouldn't say they're exactly like sensory overload issues. These women, for the most part, they're like straight up assaulting him, like sexually assaulting him.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like in some cases, drugging him and trying to coerce him into doing stuff with them.
What?
Oh yeah.
They drug him?
Yeah, he gets drugged at one point.
They roofie his ass?
Yeah. It goes dark.
That is really dark.
And then you could tell that it wasn't going anywhere with the publishers. And so each new woman predator they introduce, they keep kind of upping the ante of what they do to him until they just kind of do the classic, like, all right, and then he meets someone who's perfect for him, and the story's over. Goodbye.
Oh, great. And what animal is she?
Well, you see, that's the thing. The reason that he's initially attracted to her is because when they interact, he sees her as all the animals.
Like a chimera?
Exactly like a chimera. And for some reason, seeing that, he's like, wow, I thought it would be scary, but actually you exemplify all of the strongest, coolest traits of these animals. And that's why I'm into you.
What?
It was not a strong ending. I don't want to give the impression that it was a strong, like, middle either. I really was interested by the concept of, again, playing off that kind of ever-present fear of women in this genre and actually giving it some kind of interesting, like, in-story consequence, which would be the hallucinating them as horrible predators that are trying to kill him. I thought that was genuinely an interesting take. It did eventually very quickly devolve into just horny trash.
This sounds like what if you took Laios from Dungeon Meshi and you did just the absolute worst thing ever to him?
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between Laios and this dude.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the obvious one is the hyper focus on zoology and animal facts, right?
And getting horny for a chimera.
Well, sure, and getting horny for a chimera. But who doesn't? Like, that's normal.
Oh, sure, yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We've all done that.
So anyway, that was I'm Not Meat.
Oh,
I don't know, go read it. It's only 15 chapters, and it's weird.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like a must-read. Can I quickly tell you about another romance as well? Just a real quick romance.
Sure, quick romance.
Here's a romance.
But it better be a good one. I don't want a bad romance.
Okay, it's all right. It's a Yuri. Unlike you, when I read romance comics these days, I tend to read Yuri because I don't like men. I'm a misandrist. I hate men.
Understandable.
Yeah. I mean, you get it, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
You get it. So I like my romance, between two women. I find it easier to digest. And I read one called I See You, Aizawa San, which is sort of a combination of Meruko-chan, if you'll remember. That's the one about the girl who tries not to look at the ghosts.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And I want to hold Anna-kun so badly I could die, which is about the girl who wants to fuck her dead boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones, honestly. I really like that one. That is not Yuri, but
I mean, you'd be surprised
really
as like I wanna fuck my dead boyfriend is a pretty common recurring thing in a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah, speaking of yandere, I mean there is a yandere comic I read a while ago about a girl who summons the soul of her dead boyfriend into a teddy bear and keeps him captive in her room. What was that one
so
called?
it's like that movie Ted, but weirder.
Even weirder, yes. Very strange.
In the anime, is the teddy bear also voiced by Seth MacFarlane?
I don't know a lot about American dubbing. I think you remember I get physically ill when I hear English words coming out of an anime character. But I Want to Hold Ano-kun. What I really love about it is it's a tragic romance that turns really hard into horror. That's my shit.
Okay.
I love that. And I See You, Aizawa San is playing around in the same space. It's a girl who is very similar to Meruko-chan. She sees she sees ghosts everywhere and is desperate not to make contact with them in any way, so she pretends not to see them. This seems to be a pretty common thing, right?
Yeah.
Don't make eye contact.
I mean, if I saw a ghost, I'd definitely wouldn't tell anybody or let them know that I was seeing it.
Well, you don't want to make eye contact with a ghost because they will fuck you up. That's like the ghost signal for ghosts, apparently.
Yeah, well, ghosts and wild predators, never look them in the eye.
True, never look them in the eye. And this is what the girl...
And women.
Yes. Or they'll drug you and eat you, apparently. The girl in this comic, she does that until one day she comes to class to discover one of her classmates has died. And it turns out to be this girl that she never really interacted with because the girl didn't come to school very often, Aizawa San. But she learns post-mortem that this girl was an idol. Now, it's not super hot on that angle of it. I do not like idols. I do not like idol culture. Just I'm not into that.
Well, that aside, the trope of like, oh yeah, my classmate is a fucking TV star, is always been incredibly jarring to me. Right? It's like,
yeah,
come on, send those kids to a private school with the better students where they belong.
Hey, kids don't belong in the entertainment industry. Sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. No, that too.
Don't
I guess.
put your kids in the entertainment industry.
But if you are going to put your kids in the entertainment industry,
homeschool them.
Make sure they go to a private school. Yeah, or homeschool them.
Homeschool them. Get one of those tutors that comes to set and does like legally required classes in between shoots.
But they don't need to be mixing with the riffraff.
But this girl was apparently very into going to class, even if she didn't do it very often, because when she dies, her ghost is stuck in the classroom. Very weird.
I mean, it's a nightmare. If you die at your school, you have to stay at your school for the rest of eternity.
Oh, we don't even know how she died or where she died. She just appears at the school. I don't think she died at school at all.
Well, that makes sense then, because high school is hell.
She just appears there, and our girl is desperate not to make eye contact because she spent her whole life trying not to. She learned her lesson very early on. But unlike all the other ghosts, Aizawa-san is not horrible to look at. She's like just normal. And she does lots of cute things that make this girl like laugh, and it's very endearing. So she's falling in love with this dead girl that she's desperate to ignore. It's a tricky situation. And the story bounces back and forth between a more traditional Yuri, where it's sort of this girl like wrestling with her feelings of like first love, and this really awful, weird horror story of ghosts and possession and black magic and all this stuff, bound spirits. And that combo is like so potent for me that I just love it. I really like it. It's a very cute and occasionally horrifying manga. And I really like it. It's good. It's not, breathtaking. It's not Kaijin Fugeki, but I've been having fun reading it.
Ghost, lesbians, having fun. That's a pitch.
Ghost lesbian.
Lesbian. It's unrequited.
Yeah, it's unrequited death. Yeah. It's cute. It's a good time.
All right. Well, before we go to break, do we want to talk about something that we both read?
Yes, let's discuss this because the new Magic the Gathering set did drop. I seem to remember swearing we weren't going to talk about Magic anymore, but this is actually relevant. This is actually relevant to a manga discussion.
We're not talking about Magic. We're talking about a manga. It's not our fault that the manga just happens to be about magic.
I didn't intend for the manga to be about magic, and I didn't write magic into the manga. It's not my fault.
You told me about this yesterday, and I don't know where you found it, but it's I immediately had to go check it out because it sounded honestly very funny. So what's it called? Destroy all of humanity, it can't be regenerated.
Yes, immediately edgelord.
a Magic the Gathering romance manga.
Yeah, that is one way to describe it. It is in the tradition of Dagashi Kashi. Do you remember Dagashi Kashi?
No, which one was that?
Dagashi Kashi was a sort of goofy rom-com, but it was also just a series of commercials for native Japanese candy brands. So like each issue would be, your very traditional like goofy rom-com stuff of like a boy kind of meeting his first love and being very uncomfortable about it. But also he works at his dad's candy store, and she would come in and basically give a rundown of like the Japanese equivalent of a Snickers bar, like every issue.
That honestly sounds kind of cool. That sounds like a rom-com version of Unwrapped.
It is.
That sounds something I could sink my teeth into.
Oh, it absolutely is, and I love it. It's very cute. It has a great art style. It's very good. It's very good. It's called Dagashi Kashi, and this one is again essentially an advertisement for a trading card game with a wrapper of a goofy rom-com.
Take it away, boy.
Destroy all humanity. It can't be regenerated. An extended Magic the Gathering commercial.
Well, I don't know. I want to say, I mean, it is a commercial. It is an advertisement.
Absolutely.
It is not officially recognized, as far as I can tell, beyond some. In my research, I found that there was a very small amount of special edition promotional artwork that was a tie-in with the release of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty in Japan. But we're getting ahead of myself a little bit. The comic is about a horrible little like middle schooler edgelord gremlin ass.
Yeah, gremlin edgelord kid.
Who is he's the number 2 student in his class, which again, ranking, like public rankings for your students, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, in our school, you had to wait for the SATs to like pull some nerd shit like that.
If you wanted to pull rank, you had to wait until summer when you got a fucking 3-digit number back. And there was no ranking board posted at the front of the school when you got there.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare to me, honestly. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, and so he's a smart kid, loves Magic the Gathering, loves being like... He has huge big fish in a small pond syndrome, right? Specifically around...
Oh, yeah.
How much... He brags about how little energy he puts into doing school because he spends all his time playing video games and playing Magic, and yet is still somehow like the second-ranked student. And he's a little edgelord. He only plays mono black decks because obviously, what's the best Tommy Lee Jones movie?
It's wait, hold on. What do they call it in Japan?
Well, you may be thinking two different things because he brings up Tommy Lee Jones twice. Obviously, the best Tommy Lee Jones movie is Black Moon Rising, which is a real movie called Black Moon Rising, featuring Tommy Lee Jones. It is not the movie Men in Black, which is the second coolest Tommy Lee Jones movie.
But is the movie that the kid name checks right after the other one says Black Moon Rising.
Yeah, he's like, and what's the best color? Black, because that's what the Men in Black wear.
Yep.
Obviously, that makes it the coolest color, right? That logic tracks 100% with me.
Oh, absolutely.
And he loves his mono black deck because the zombies and the edgy artwork and being able to board wipe his opponents until one day he discovers through word of mouth that in the next town over, right, there's a new magic shop. A hobby shop that sells Magic singles.
Yay.
And he can go there and he can buy specific cards now instead of having to waste all his money on goddamn packs.
The dorkiest shit.
Yeah, I'd never do that.
Yeah, I mean that's like insanely try-hard shit. Just the absolute worst.
I would never try and construct a deck with like intention in mind. Only losers do that.
I mean, who would buy singles? Like, that is just embarrassing.
So anyway, he goes there to buy singles and embarrass himself. And lo and behold, right?
Accomplishes both things.
Yeah. And who's there? But the number one student in his class, the class rep, honor student, super popular girl, and she's kicking ass. She's kicking everybody's ass in that shop because guess what? She plays Magic too.
Oh, yeah.
A girl playing Magic. Can you even wrap your head around that?
He makes a big point of pointing out that she is also wearing a short skirt in a magic shop.
Yeah, obviously, she's just trying to use her feminine wiles to distract
The desperate losers.
the red-blooded American Japanese players. And he's like, hey, wait, you act all high and mighty and make fun of me for playing Magic, but you actually play Magic secretly yourself. That's fucked up, which is true. She is, in fact, a loser and a narc.
Yeah.
And it is funny that is ashamed of playing Magic.
Yeah, and you know what? The biggest loser shit is not going to the Magic store to buy singles. That is just regular loser shit. The biggest loser shit is going to the Magic store to buy singles and then pretending like you didn't do that.
No, I'm just really good at this game.
I just found these cards and was like, I could probably do this.
So obviously, she runs away at first, embarrassed by this discovery. But then he's like, no, wait, let's play. And so they play, and they make a bet, right? She's like, all right, if I win, he says, if I win, then I'm going to tell everybody that you play Magic and you have to stop making fun of me. But if you win, then I'll generic be your servant kind of thing, right?
I'll be your servant. I'll be your butler.
Yeah, be your butler. I'll be your chauffeur. And wouldn't you know it, she kicks his ass with a mono white deck.
She whips him.
Like fucking destroys him. Because
fucking loser.
I can't stress this enough. He's actually bad at Magic.
He's not good. He's only played his friends, and he's only been desperate to beat them.
Now, I don't know how much research the author was doing into actual game strategy at this point. He improves over time because not only does this girl kick his ass at Magic, in later chapters, he goes to Tokyo, to the big city, to enter actual like Magic tournaments. And he's like, all right, she may be like really good, but she's not here now, and I'm gonna kick ass in this city tournament. This will prove exactly how good I am at Magic. And he also gets his ass handed to him repeatedly. So it is like canon established, confirmed by the narrative, by the author. This kid, like, he's not good at the game.
Interesting angle.
Yeah. Well, I can't fault him 100% because I think everybody, has a little guilt of putting together their first deck based entirely on card art with no real understanding of the game, which is very much what this kid has been doing up until this point. He sees a zombie, says, that's cool, I'm going to put that in here. He sees a fucking spell that lets him choose a card to discard from his opponent. I'll throw that in. It's got cool artwork. Slowly, over time, he learns monocurving strategy. He learns about different deck types. He learns about sideboarding. He learns about hard color counters to specific decks and how to deal with stuff in the moment.
Yep.
He's learning life lessons all over the place.
And all laughably out of date at this point.
Okay, well, you bring up a point that I wanted to get to. Very interestingly, this manga started being published in 2019, took the narrative decision to have it take place in the 1998 block of Magic release where only everything up through 1995 cards had been translated into Japanese at that point. So they were 4 or 5 sets behind the American releases.
Gasp.
I know. Well, it's funny because it puts he's super excited in the first chapter about the upcoming Japanese release of Ice Age, which is by far one of the worst and like badly designed sets of Magic to date. And I just wanted to tell him, like, dude, that's not it. His little mind would be blown playing on Magic Arena in the modern age, is what I'm trying to get at. It would be like taking a time traveler and putting them in a future Mars city.
Yes, yeah, exactly. He's the peasant child with the Dorito.
Yeah. So I don't know. I found that I'm finding this incredibly charming, to say the least, just because I think it's funny. You know, I think it's funny and interesting to see them like go into these big strategy conversations about very, very old and outdated cards at this point. It has nothing to do at all to the fact that they're referencing a time period of Magic that I personally grew up in. And remember getting into at that time. I remember being an 8-year-old when the Urza block came out, which they reference a whole bunch, but that has nothing to do with with the way I'm viewing this particular work. I do not fall for appeals to nostalgia, as you know.
Sure. Don't date yourself, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. Well, if the audience doesn't know that I'm 65 years old at this point, I don't know how many more hints I have to drop.
I think, yes, I like that a lot. Obviously, this becomes basically everything you can just imagine it becomes. It follows the blueprint of these manga basically to a T. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, hey, sometimes you just want the generic thing. The point being, it's subject matter, much like the rom-coms that focus on the specifics of I don't know, PC building or carbon fiber bikes or, I don't know, milking cows. This one just happens to be about the intricacies of Magic the Gathering, which is, something everybody can relate to.
Well, it puts me in a mindset where, like, I'm imagining a better world where instead of Yu-Gi-Oh, we had a 90s popularity boom in Magic the Gathering, and we got like official Magic anime about cyber card battling in our youth. Imagine a world where it was Magic instead of Yu-Gi-Oh taking that Fox Kids animation slot.
Oh yeah, I mean, you remember the PS3 when they were trying to do the Magic Eye or whatever the fuck it was called, did release a bootleg ass Magic the Gathering card game where you could play it underneath the Magic Eye and it would generate 3D models of every card and have them like Pokemon Stadium style like battle each other, which was in theory like the coolest thing, except you don't want to play the bootleg Magic, you want to play Magic.
We've lamented in the past that it is incredibly sad and unfortunate that as far as like competitive fantasy card games go, there's lots of choices and all of them are worse than Magic, which is a true crime.
Yeah, we're not playing Magic because we love Magic. We're playing Magic because all the other ones suck.
Magic is an objectively bad game. It's just all the other ones are worse.
They're much worse. Sorry, Pokemon.
No one knows how to play Pokemon. I keep telling you that. It's a huge conspiracy.
They've released their own version of Arena, which I think would finally clear up how that game is supposed to be played. Fortunately, I already have Magic Arena. I am not starting up another digital card game. Sorry, Pokemon Studio.
Okay, in Destroy All Humanity, it can't be regenerated. They make references to the original 1997 Magic PC RPG game. Are you aware of this?
I am aware of this because when I bought one of my first expansion packs, it came with the CD-ROM version of the tutorial, which was a fully simulated Magic game which you could play against an NPC. And I loved it. I immediately realized that is the version of Magic I wanted to play. And it took 20 years to get back to that.
Well, the full version of the game was even weirder. You did have, It was, in fact, an RPG. You had an overworld map, kind of like the original Sid Meier's Pirates, where it's tile-based. And you have a fog of war. And as you move around the map and move on to a tile and uncover it, you have a chance of running into a monster, in which case it initiates a JRPG-esque, like Final Fantasy battle screen, but the battle is a simulated game of Magic where you are playing the Magic card game against the monster that you just ran into, who has a Magic deck of their own.
That is so wild.
I'm just saying that is probably the version of Arena we should be moving towards.
How do I get that?
How can I get the Final Fantasy VII remake of that?
I want that. How do I get that?
I want
Where
a
is that?
AAA,
Where is it available?
high budget, fully voice acted, with famous people, real famous people that I've heard of in these voices. I want bitcoins and I want AI in it, and I want to be able to I don't know, what can you do? Put 2 +1/+1 non-fungible tokens on your creature
that you have to buy outside of the game.
Yeah. I want Magic Coin, the video game, in full VR. That's all I'm asking for.
And I want them to go easy on me, and I want to be able to beat them, and I don't want to lose.
That is why I tend to mostly play against bots in Arena. I cannot stand the thought of losing against another person. It just fills me with rage.
I have to say, I agree with you, except everyone else who plays Arena is bad. Like, it's very easy to win. The rest of you guys are suckers, man. I'm not even that good at Magic, and I feel like I'm fucking hustling people.
So yeah, I don't know. Destroy all of humanity. It can't be regenerated. I'd check it out if you like Magic, or if you hate Magic.
Yeah, sure. Maybe you'll learn something for once in your entire pathetic life. Okay.
All right. You wanna take a break?
Yeah, let's chill.
Okay. Welcome back to Anime Death Spiral. Before the break, we were criticizing the magic habits of these middle school nerds.
Dork-ass losers.
But now I think we need to move on to a much more serious matter that's come to my attention. I am, of course, directing this at you, my co-host.
What?
Oh, don't you think that I don't know?
Hold on.
I've been hearing down the grapevine in the rumor mill what you've been up to.
Oh no.
And buddy, it's time to fess up. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh God. Who? Hold on. Who? How? What? Who told you? How do you know?
I don't need to divulge my sources. All you need to know is that it comes from a trusted associate of yours.
Oh God. You installed a keylogger on my tablet.
Not just one, and not just on your tablet.
Oh fuck.
I'm like Doge up in there. I'm getting my greasy paws all over your personal info.
Oh, I'm putting backdoors in everything, and I'm forgetting about them immediately.
I am, of course, talking about your disappointing, regrettable backslide.
Oh God.
Into one of the most deplorable genres out there.
Oh no, don't say it, please.
Yeah, buddy, you've been reading some isekai.
Oh, thank God. Oh, just the isekai. Oh, whew, wow. You really scared me for a second. Isekai, man. That's really bad. Yeah.
We'll get to the other stuff in another episode. Trust me.
Oh, fuck.
You've been reading some isekai, which we all know is the bottom of the barrel degenerates flavor of anime and manga.
Okay. Yes, fine. I fess up. Recently, I did read some isekai. I picked some isekai, okay? All right.
What have you to say for yourself? Don't you know impressionable children listen to this show? Little moldable Gen Alpha brains just listening to you pour that slop into their heads?
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me put some caveats out here, okay? Because I wasn't just throwing on random ass isekai. I'm not.
Oh, you think you have a defense for these titles?
I do. I have a defense. I wasn't watching Returners. I wasn't reading My Life as a Vending Machine.
You weren't trying to pick up girls in the dungeon, perchance?
I wasn't picking up any girls in the dungeon. I wasn't becoming the world's strongest. Look,
you weren't using your weird ability for assessment to become a stock trader in another world?
Yes, I wasn't developing my NTR skills to dominate the evil Dark Lord. None of that shit. I wasn't doing. I had an angle. I swear to God, I had an angle, okay?
All right, well, make your case then.
Okay, look, at some point a while back, I did talk about quality assurance in another world. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was the one about the basically bug testers inside the giant VR fantasy game that get stuck there.
Yes. It was a Sword Art Online, but instead of being like, a Chinibyo edgelord asshole who gets a harem immediately, it was about a good-natured bug tester who continues to bug test the game, and even though he's essentially has locked-in syndrome. And I did say I like that one because, if you'll remember, I said it has an interesting angle on the premise, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes an interesting angle on the premise. And yes, I read some isekai. Yes, I admit it. I read some isekai, but they have an interesting angle on the premise. That's why I read them. Okay?
Such as I fell into another world and now all women look like man-eating predators to me.
Yes. Oh, you didn't mention that he was in another world. That changes everything. That's why he has a harem. I didn't read that one, but I did read a couple, and I will, to defend myself, I will explain, okay?
Okay.
I read a few, and I read things like Isekai Executioner.
Oh, now this sounds pretty edgelord to me. I'm gonna be honest.
It does, I know. I want to start with this one because it does read immediately as like the closest to a generic isekai. It is called Isekai Executioner, serial killer in another world, and I know that's like immediately rings alarm bells in anybody who's familiar with the genre. But I do want to point out this is an angle on isekai that I do sympathize with and I kind of agree with. Isekai Executioner is about a world where the goddess regrets isekaiing a bunch of people into the world to defeat the Dark Lord because in the process of giving them cheat skills, she accidentally corrupted them with too much power. After the defeat of the Dark Lord, these 8 isekaiers, the isekai'd immediately essentially dominate the local populace and become mad with power.
Oh, who would have thought that giving these teenagers fucking god powers would make them go crazy with their authoritative tendencies?
Yes, they become little dictators, each one in their own special way. For example, one of them almost immediately becomes a Yakuza loan shark in the fantasy world. There's one who becomes essentially a different kind of serial killer who does all his serial killing by leading regular adventurers into the dungeon, taking them down into pretty far levels of the dungeon where regular people can't get to, and then just party wiping.
Wow.
Pretty fucked up.
What a dick.
He's a dick. There's a pair of twins that just start doing like human experiments on massive sections of the population for fun.
So they're not even corrupted heroes. These are just straight up villain things that
are awful, awful people.
They're not misguided heroes. These are people who never should have been given this kind of power to begin with.
Yeah, and I like that. You know, it's what happens when you give people infinite power and set them loose on this like naive fantasy world. And then also give them the prestige, right, of defeating the Dark Lord. They become evil.
So not only are they physically and magically powerful, but in their, at least in their own minds, they have moral justification as well.
Well, they have unquestionable social status, right?
No, I don't as a lowbrow, stupid American, I do not understand that.
They're like Elon Musk before his heel turn.
Oh, shit.
Remember when they put that guy in Iron Man 2?
Remember when they put him on Rick and Morty and The Simpsons and The Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Jesus Christ, you fucking idiots. Oh, God. Anyway, the goddess, in her infinite wisdom, decides it's time to do something about this.
Time to nut up or shut up.
Yeah, so she reaches through the dimensional veil and finds a very sick man, a serial killer who is being hung for his crimes. Hanged for his crimes.
Hanged.
Yes, because Japan still does capital punishment.
And they get fucked up about it.
Yeah, they still hang people, I guess. Can that be true? Is that true?
Yeah, no, that's true. They still hang people.
That's so fucked. Jesus Christ. So this guy's getting hanged and he gets isekai'd, and he doesn't really understand why, because he's like, man, I led a truly heinous life. But the goddess quickly shows her hand. She's like, yeah, I pulled you out because, you're a killer. You're a cold-blooded killer. And I've got some people who need killing.
Okay.
So, here you go. I'm going to let you loose on the fantasy land that I have control over, and you're going to do my dirty work. But here's the caveat. I'm not giving you a cheat skill. You got to do this. You got to do this raw.
See, it kind of fumbles with the logic there, right? If you want him to go kill superpowered hero people, you got to give him something. Or is he just like Batman levels good of being able to take down people who are objectively his betters?
Well, it is an angle that we have talked about before, where I've said, a lot of fantasy, and this isn't manga specific or anime specific. This is a cross media, where a lot of crime stuff will just attribute like superpowers just to being evil. You know what I mean? Evil people just have this weird advantage in the world because they're evil.
I want to say that is a fantasy trope, but I think that's just kind of how it works.
That is how it works in fiction. Is like, if you're evil, you just have this weird advantage over regular people.
Yeah, but I think that is maybe also just how it works in the real world.
Oh, really? You're like ultra cynical in that way.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's how it works in the real world. I still believe in a world where good and bad things happen.
Oh, check out the guy who believes in society over here.
I did say I hate the world earlier, but I'm exaggerating. Guys, you know me. I love everybody in the world, and I think everything's great.
He's a kidder.
I'm kidding around, guys. Come on. But in fantasy, that's often how it works. And I think in this, it does play up that a little bit, in the idea like, oh, this guy's a serial killer, so like he's good at killing. And I guess the goddess believes that too, because she's just like, well, get down there. But there is also the other side where, well, you don't want to create yet another one of these psychos who have infinite power, right? So she basically she gives him a rundown of the 8 people. She goes like, here's who they are. Here's a picture of them. Here's what their cheat skill is. Have at it. And he just has to go out and do it.
All right.
So it's not like he's going in 100% blind. He knows who they are.
He's got a mission brief. He's got some strategy.
Yeah. So he can plot around their cheat skill. But other than that, he's just got to do it.
And I mean, I don't know if he's accomplished any of these goals yet, but is he good at it?
He gets a few. I read all of the published chapters, and I don't want to like ruin everything, but I will say pretty early on, he shows himself to be pretty competent.
He's killing. He's doing some killing.
He's killing. Now, there is a weird thing about this where, again, like, it is shown, like, he's a serial killer, but he's sort of repentant about it for some reason. And I don't really like that. That feels like a weird angle.
Well, you have to have some kind of pathos to tie the audience to the character, make them care, you know?
I know, but then again, this is kind of one of those things, like I mentioned earlier, about the premise being betrayed, where it's like, this guy's supposed, like, the whole reason she pulls him in is because he's a serial killer. He can't just change his mind.
He kills in a serialized fashion.
You can't just be like, okay, now I'm not a serial killer because I feel bad now. That's not how it works.
Oh no, you made me care now.
Oh, I care now. Yeah, I don't like that angle, but I do like the rest of the premise. I think it's a clever premise. I think inversion of the isekai setup that I think makes it tolerable to me. And that's the thrust of the rest of these, okay? Let me move on because I don't want to dwell.
The rest of so this isn't the only isekai you read.
No, I did read a few. I don't want to dwell on these, so we'll run through them pretty quick. Because the only interesting thing about these is that they do something with the isekai shtick.
You spent so many weeks in rehab and it didn't do anything for you. Now you're out here freebasing isekai right off the spoon into your vein.
Manga's manga, baby.
Oh, God. Okay.
It's just how it is.
All right, go on.
Let me break these down. The next one is called Exodrive Reincarnation Games. And this one I do kind of stand by because this is ultimately the end game of all of these things. This is a wrapper around isekais in general. Exodrive is about a future society where humanity has basically discovered the technology behind isekaiing, and they've gotten so good at it that they can isekai people at will. At first, this seems like, this is almost like, deep space exploration. We'll find advanced other worlds and, share technology between them. But it turns out in this setup that every isekai world that's not Earth is being destroyed by a Dark Lord. Every single one.
This is some Earth exceptionalism shit.
But in a weird turn, in a kind of jaw-dropping lack of any kind of empathy, they turn isekaiing into a worldwide international sport where isekai'd people go head-to-head in speed runs of saving isekai'd worlds from Dark Lords. It is fully televised. It is held in a coliseum. Each isekai'der, isekai? I really can't.
The isekai'd, like the bereft.
The isekai'd. Each one has like a trainer, and the trainer is called the truck driver because every match starts with each isekai'd being run over by a truck.
Okay, so they're being real on the nose with it. Like,
oh yeah, they're really on the nose with it.
Okay, all right.
Each isekai'd starts the game, quote unquote game, by constructing a deck of cheat skills. They each get to carry 4 into the isekai world. And they build a deck from all cheat skills available, right? And so the game they play, because this is essentially a sport manga, it's almost like any, a baseball manga or a tennis manga or a boxing manga, an MMA manga. It's exactly the same format, except the sport happens to be doing isekai. The entire setup is like about the strategy of the cheat skills and how to speed run an isekai. This is as good as an isekai's ever gonna get. Honestly,
this is being presented as, dressed up as an isekai manga, but it is actually a sports manga about competitive speedrunning video games.
Yes, except video games are actual isekai worlds.
Like, yes, they're... I mean, they're games to us, the higher beings, is what I'm saying.
Yes, we are the higher beings playing with the fate of puny mortals, essentially.
It's literally a comic I once saw where it was making fun of Advanced Wars. You remember those games?
Yes, I do.
And it's like, showing the generals like, hey, we're going to go have a fun battle today. I hope I win. Doing like a fun rivalry. And then it cuts to the men on the ground, like with their arms blown off and holding their friends as they die.
Yes, yeah. Just like Heart of Darkness shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very good. I really like that. Yeah, it's essentially that. It's pretty thin. There's not a lot of it, but I love that premise. I think it's set up very well, and it is executed very well. It's very funny. There's a couple more. I just want to move on very quickly.
Okay.
I read one called Boku no Nakama wa Isekai Saikyo Undead. I don't know what that means, but it's about a regular ass loser and a couple of strangers get isekai'd into a world. And they all go to the temple of the goddess and get their cheat skills. And he happens to get the immortality cheat skill. And everybody's really impressed with this. They're like, wow, he got the immortality one. That's so crazy. And he's feeling pretty good. He's feeling pumped up about it. He's like, wow, I got a good skill. This is great. Until later in the day when they ask him to split off from the group and come with them, wherein, bringing it back to the human experimentation, they immediately strap him to a chair and like start hacking him apart for weeks at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
A little bit of fire punch there.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of fire punch. And some other ones. There was the Isekai Returner one that I talked a while back about the guy who gets isekai'd into an experimental subject and then dies on the table and becomes isekai'd into another fantasy world to take his revenge. That one turned out to be very bad, but I like that premise too. In this one, he gets experimented on for a while and kind of becomes deranged until the day that he manages to escape. And on his way out, he manages to save another person who is being experimented on. Except it turns out that this weird, mysterious woman is like the high-ranking, like, vampire lord who had been, after, centuries of being fought by humans, finally been captured. And she goes, hey, thanks, dude. Do you want to, party up? And he's, in his delirium, he's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Let's just do this shit. And so she, flies him away, and they take on a fun adventure together. And what I like about this is that he is not the all-powerful one. He's just kind of like a loser who gets his limbs cut off over and over. He just happens to find the all-powerful one. And she gets to do all the cool shit. I like that. I like that dynamic. I also like that his friends think that he's been brainwashed by this vampire, and they set off to, quote-unquote, rescue him. So there's, a fun dynamic going on there. I like this. It softens up in a way. But
he's into it. He's not kidnapped. He's, into hanging out with the vampire.
Oh, he's very into it. He's loving it. He's having a great time with this vampire lord.
Yeah, I mean, can't fault him for that.
Yeah, I mean, she gets to suck infinite amounts of blood, and he gets to hang out with a sexy, all-powerful vampire lord. It seems like a win-win, right?
Okay, all right. You got to be running thin on these defensible isekai, though, right? There cannot be that many good isekai in existence.
No, and that one kind of gets pretty mushy pretty fast. The last one too, the only thing that it just has a good jump start, and then again, a lot of these fall apart pretty quickly. Again, like I said, the premise is betrayed. I have one more I want to talk about, and this one's fun in theory because this one's called The Isekai Doctor. Any sufficiently advanced medical science is indistinguishable from magic. And this is of a long line of isekais wherein a modern person goes to a fantasy world or back in time, and very smugly does modern science to people who are like completely baffled by the concept of germs, right? Very paternalistic, condescending, but, you know.
What's normal to him is amazing to us.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Objectively, this is complete bullshit. It's like, come on, man, what are you doing?
Well, it's the Star Trek philosophy, right? You know, the prime directive. You can't just beam down on these lowly little mud brain people and wow them with your amazing future knowledge, your
these
space
dirt
knowledge.
Cavemen.
Yeah, you gotta present it to them like, no, it's not science or whatever. It's magic. Y'all believe in magic, right?
Yes, but in this case, and in a lot of these cases, they immediately ignore the prime directive and just go, "Hey, yeah, this is modern science. You fucking idiots don't know any about this shit. But I am a life-saving doctor, and it is my creed that I must always try to save any life I come across." And, you know, this is just one of those. What I like about this genre is basically that, though, that he doesn't have any cheat skills except for, like, he went to medical school, which I guess you could call that a cheat skill. And instead of slaying the Dark Lord, basically he's just chilling and being a cool guy and, like, teaching people about gangrene, and the common cold. At one point, he does, like, stomach surgery on a dragon by climbing down her throat and like slicing a polyp off. That's kind of fun, right?
And that dragon's name was Fidel Castro.
The ghost of a dragon that happened to be Fidel Castro. Yes, exactly. So this is, in that way, it's much more charming than any regular isekai. But unfortunately, he does begin to develop a harem of women that happen to become medically convenient to him.
Oh, I see.
Yes, the spider girl who can weave sterile bandages, the psychic girl who can use telepathy to manipulate organs without cutting inside the body, right? Yeah, the healer, the Templar healer girl who can, I guess, seal up wounds without having to sew them up, right? That kind of thing.
I mean, that's not a harem. That's a medical clinic. He's running a business.
Yes, exactly. But they all do fall in love with him.
Do they get health insurance?
I mean, yeah, he treats them for free.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
yeah.
Good for him. Good for him then.
Good for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Universal health care with monster girls.
He does call a big convention at one point of all the fantasy races to tell them what germs are and why they keep getting sick from, like, eating rotten meat and, like, drinking contaminated water. And they do almost all, like, revolt against him because it's such a wild and stupid concept to them. So, again, it is really like these dumb people are so stupid, they don't even understand germs. Which, again, paternalistic and condescending.
To be fair, though, he is a doctor.
He's a doctor.
We're not doctors.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, none of these people are doctors.
They're not doctors.
Yeah, he's a doctor. He's got to be smart. I'm just saying, maybe he's earned a right to. Maybe doctors have earned a right to look down on us lesser beings a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
If anybody's going to be condescending and paternalistic, don't you want it to be a doctor?
Yeah, it's like, hey, idiot, I can save your life because my brain is big.
Yeah.
Fucking respect me. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
Then again, they do, like, mess around with dead bodies. What's up with that?
Oh, you make a good point.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Doctors are creepy.
They're weird.
They're weird people who like to touch dead bodies.
Yeah, they're creepy, weird people. The one other thing I will say about this that I like is he has a friend on the outside who is looking for him. And this is not something that happens in a lot of isekai.
And you're not being, like, metaphorical, like, we all have a friend on the inside that's searching for us, like that kind of thing. Like, you're being literal.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Is this something that you've experienced personally?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, poetically, like, we all have a person inside of us that's searching for the real us.
You do? You do. This is something
You don't hear that voice inside. Okay, we can move on. Tell me about his real literal friend on the outside that's searching for him.
His actual literal friend is on the outside of the Isekaiing, and he is looking for him. He's trying to find out why this guy just disappeared. And maybe this is because, as a doctor, he's not a complete fucking loser who's been isolated from society. Maybe that's just like they couldn't get around that angle. But I appreciate the acknowledgement that real life exists, and maybe people are a little baffled by someone's complete disappearance, right? I like that.
No, I can't imagine anybody that would miss me if I disappeared from the earth right now. So
if he just disappeared, they'd be like, well, that was weird.
No, I think they'd all think that's pretty normal.
Well, that's normal that he disappeared.
Yeah, I'm happy, actually.
That's great. I'm so glad. I wonder if he got isekai'd.
Okay, but you're saying that in this fantasy world, he has people that would care if he was gone.
In fact, they do, and they are looking for him, which is just a little touch that I like. It's just a little touch.
Okay.
Like I said, it became immediately mushy because of the harem stuff and, trying to fill out the fantasy world with fantasy bullshit. So I'm probably not going to read any more of it, but I just like that angle. If you like that kind of thing, there are so many of them. Netflix even has a live action adaptation right now where it's a guy who goes back to like medieval Japan and treats them all like idiots because he's a brain surgeon. So,
Well, I mean, it definitely beats another isekai about a dude whose special cheat power is that he can just order shit on Amazon. Because there's like 5 or 6 of those out in circulation right now. So honestly, a dude who is a doctor helping people, that's objectively a better position to be in, right?
I think it's more compelling for a person who's like, I want to help people, than just another asshole who's like, I will defeat the Dark Lord again.
Yeah.
So I sufficiently explained myself. I think I've made myself pretty clear why I read these isekai.
These are all pretty big edge cases. I'm going to say that. I'm still side-eyeing you a little bit, but I'll let it slide for now. Just don't let me see you dropping into that ReZero hole again. I know that you're a Megumin stand.
Look, I saw some recent screenshots of up-to-date ReZero, and believe me, I have zero interest of revisiting ReZero.
All right, is that enough anime for this week?
That's enough.
Oh God! All right, we slogged through the anime sludge once again, and here we stand, covered head to toe, in front of you, our beautiful, handsome, and tall, and wonderful, and so sympathetic listeners. We know you're out there. Please comment on stuff. We really like it when you do that. It's great.
And if you do listen to other podcasts, I will know.
Oh, we'll know, and we will kill them, and then you,
and then ourselves. Bye.
Yeah. Blue sky. Bye.
The internet's not real. It's a pipe organ in there. You think that's real? It's not alive? Let me guess. You think Toy Story is real too?